Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King 2. And today I'm going to be giving you a brand new series. What if Naruto learned all the Uzumaki skills and techniques? Part 1 guys. Remember, if you're new and this is the first time you hear my voice, yes, I have 3 channels. Anime King 2, Anime King 3. Links will be down in the description for Anime King and Anime King 3. If you enjoy seeing one, see more, just go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Making family. And thank you for all of your help and your support. And don't forget guys, to stay in tune for the rest of what ifs coming your way. And I hope you guys enjoy each and every one of them. And yeah, don't forget to turn on that bell notification either to see exactly when I post. So without further ado, what do you say we leap into this new episode? Start the intro. Kushina Uzumaki had dreaded this day. She knew that giving birth would be more of an ordeal for her than for any other woman. They had taken almost every precaution, as they knew that with her giving birth the seal would weaken at its lowest point. They kept the time and the location of her birth secret. It was outside of the village, so just in case things went bad, no harm will befall the village. However, everything went wrong. So horribly wrong. Somehow the knowledge of where she was giving birth got compromised and now the beast was free. Set free by a masked man with a Sharingan. She could feel her strength wane, but not from giving birth. It was because a prison that was her body and soul had been ripped and broken. The simple fact that when a Bichu is ripped from the container will eventually die, as she was dreading that at the moment. As she tried to think of a solution to stay in this world, she couldn't help but tear up though, as the tears ran down her cheeks, as she couldn't think of one. Before this whole ordeal, if it was her mindset back then, she would have asked Minato to seal the beast back inside of her, so that she could take it to the grave with her. It would take at least some years to reform so Konoha can be prepared the next time. However, now, she felt her resolve breaking down, because at the moment she was a mother, and she didn't want to leave. Growing up after the death of her parents and the massacre of Uzu, it was hard at first until she started to make bonds, friendships, and eventually fall in love. However, the thought of separating from her baby boy, it was causing her literal pain just to imagine it. She loved him so much. She only just knew him, but she loved him with all of her heart. Today was supposed to be a happy occasion, a bright memory, for more to come. He was finally here. She was going to start her family with the ones that she loved. But now she was going to lose every single thing. Her handsome, loving husband, her beautiful son. All she could do for them was pray. Pray that they find happiness without her. At least she had some peace knowing that Minato would look after their son. With a new sense of purpose, chains came from her back. They shot forward towards the massive beast. She was not going to let Minato bear the entire burden alone. Even if she was dead, she would still help raise her child. She would make sure that Naruto still grew up with the knowledge of her family, their legacy, the Uzumaki legacy. As she kept the beast contained using her chains, she went through hand sign. There was a poof as she summoned a small box. Inside the box there was a few items. It had a diary, some money, a few scrolls, and a couple of photos. She took off her wedding ring and her hair clip, a cute black one that she was partial to, as she placed them inside. After thinking about it some more, she tore off the collar of her dress, the part that contained her husband's Hirishin marker. As she placed it in, it would increase the chance of them finding this box. As she gently closed the container and secured the lid, quickly performing the reverse summon on the box, she sent it back so it would not be destroyed. Just after finishing the task, she became aware of her husband approaching her with Naruto in his arms. Minato-kun, she said, are you ready to see the Kyuubi back inside of me? As she took her baby boy away from him, she desperately gazed over his face for the last time as she took in every single detail, from his red hair to his small face with no marks, no blemishes, as he was the most adorablest thing ever. God, she could just keep watching him forever. Kushina-chan, there's no need for you to die, and take the Kyuubi with you. Minato Namikaze, the fourth Hokage of Konoha, looked up towards the beast struggling against the chains. Preserve your chakra, I'll seal half of it within Naruto using the Reaper Death Seal. Kushina looked up towards him, as she wondered if she heard him correctly. But Minato, the Reaper Death Seal will result in your death. What about Naruto? He would have to grow up with this burden, not knowing, not understanding what it means to be a Jinchuriki. We need love, Minato, to hold the demon and not to fall into its darkness. I believe in him, said Minato. Do you remember Master Jiraiya's words about ending the curse of hatred? I believe that Naruto, my son, will be the one to put an end to it. As he started to go through the hand signs. But why? Why do you have to use the Reaper Seal? You could live on. You could teach him, watch over him, because I cannot. As she started to sob even more. I will need its power to split the Kyuubi in half. Half of it I will seal within Naruto, and half I will take with me to the Shinigami's stomach. It will also allow me to put your chakra inside of him, so that he can meet you, and you can help him when he needs it. She couldn't fully understand it. Why was there a need to seal the Kyuubi now, rather than later? They could use a similar seal to her own when it reformed. By then Naruto would have been older, old enough to understand the burden of being a Jinchuriki. You don't have to die, Minato, just wait. I'll take you with me. It could be years before it come back, and by then you guys will be prepared. Naruto will be older too, as old as I was when I accepted this burden. Then you could seal it within him, the whole of it. She begged, as she felt tired. All she could do was ask him to take another route. To forsake your country is to forsake yourself, Kushina. I know that you understand that. The Kyuubi reforming would be an event. Konoha might not survive the onslaught, or even defend against the other villages. Besides, there are some things that only you can say to him. Minato stayed calm, looking at her as he completed the seals for the Shinigami to appear. She felt Minato was being naive right now. This was a very heavy burden, something hard to understand for those who had not shared it. She too believed in her son, but she believed him to be human, not some noble child of prophecy. He was her child. Her child. He will make mistakes like she did. He will hate like she did. And who would he love when no one loved him? Maybe Jiraiya could reason to be a capable person. He was Naruto's godfather after all. But what if he could not? Making up her mind, she went through hand sign of her own, as she watched Minato completing the sealing process. As she gently placed her hand down on Naruto's wrist, a spiraling mark appeared on his wrist, before it vanished in his skin. As she prayed that he will find their legacy using this. Meanwhile, somewhere beneath the Senju compound, it was a small building. Unlike the others within Konoha, it wasn't made of wood. It was made of massive red stones, transported from the land of Whirlpool. The Senjus created it as a symbol of their alliance. A promise that Konoha would grant a home to any Uzumaki that came seeking shelter. Inside, a few moments ago, there was a small box that appeared in a poof of smoke. Someone inside was watching the box rather curiously, as the seal appeared on top of it, shining. Mito Uzumaki studied the seal from a distance and she understood the use of the seal immediately. She slowly closed her eyes as her mind ran through the implications of what this meant. Kushi-chan, please be alright, she thought. As she faded away once again from existence, all she could do right now was preserve her essence. And just wait. Time skip. It has been a few years. And so we have a 5-year-old Naruto Uzumaki walking around. He was bored. The outskirts of the village had lost its charm after the 100th time of him being out here. There was not much that he could do honestly, because he had no friends to play with, or someone to even spend time with. He always felt his apartment to be unfeeling and small, like the next moment it will move in and swallow him whole. The only things that he owned that distracted him a bit were storybooks, but he already read through them several times. He just couldn't understand why no one would play with him, or even look at him for that matter. Everywhere he went, he would be ignored. No look of acknowledgement. Even when he bumped into someone, they would simply walk on, like nothing just happened, and he hated that. He had tried asking why, even shouting once, but it had no effect at all. The old man in the funny hat, the Hokage he found out later to be, told him that someday people would understand and accept him. He frankly couldn't understand what was there to accept. Did he do something wrong? Or was there something wrong with him? He wasn't stupid. He knew there had to be a reason, so he tried to figure it out. It couldn't be because of his red hair. He had seen other people with different kind of hair like white, purple, pink. Granted, he had not seen anyone with red hair, but it couldn't be that weird, right? But then he thought it was because of the whisker marks he had. That made him look like a kitty cat. But that couldn't be so weird, right? P.S. guys, he got them after the beast was sealed inside of him. Let's get back to the story. Then he wondered if it was because of his eyes. His eyes were purple, but that wasn't so weird. There were lots of people with weirder eyes than his. He had even seen a girl that had no black spot in the middle. Later he found out that there was a whole family of those people with blank eyes walking around. He just couldn't understand why he was treated so differently. He was just a kid, right? He had seen how the adults treated other kids even after they did something wrong. Maybe he did something so bad that they were punishing him, but he just couldn't remember doing anything bad to anyone. As he walked, he continued to look down because if he looked up, he would see them, not seeing him. Then he would feel that feeling of anger and hate that he always felt, trying to overwhelm him, trying to crawl and consume him. He would then want to break something and lash out at someone. He hated that feeling because it only made him even more sad. He had promised himself he won't get angry, that he won't cry. Maybe if he behaved, someone would want him. Maybe. As Naruto walked, he felt something at his hand. A faint pulse of warmth. The more he walked, the more warmer it got. His hand started to lead him somewhere as he walked. He ducked under fences, walking through the woods. He twisted, he turned, he went down, he came up. After crawling underneath a fence, he came up on an old building. As he was in the clan areas, he has never been here because he was never allowed here. As he made his way towards the door and placed his hand on it, he felt a small prickle. It was then a lot of squiggly lines right where he touched the door. They just appear out of nowhere. The door then whoosh as it opened. The inside was really dark, but it was also dusty, but it was still pretty cool. Maybe if he cleaned this place, he could make it a secret hideout to bring his friends when he makes some. And who are you, little one? Naruto spun around, preparing to run when he heard that voice. There now in front of him stood a woman. She had long bright red hair like his, with a bun style in it, and there was some crown on top of her head. Her eyes were slightly darker than his, as she was wearing a white kimono. As she smiled kindly down at him. Wow. Are you a princess? He asked. The first thought that popped into his head. He had read about princesses, they wear crowns. They were rather beautiful, and they always wear elegant kimonos. She had to be one. Maybe she wants some help, and he will help her do some cool shinobi stuff. As she chuckled slightly. I might be. Why don't you introduce yourself first? Oh, I'm Naruto Uzumaki, he said, as he hesitated a bit. However, she still seemed happy. Who are you? He asked. Mito watched a small child. He looked so much like Kushina, it was unbelievable. Sure, she could see some slight differences. Surely from his father, the blonde boy that Kushina showed her photos of. But those were rare. He looked remarkably like Kushina when she was this young. Same pair of eyes, same hair. Albeit he was a lot shorter. His chubby face made him look like a little fat tomato. And some cute markings on his cheeks that made him look like a cat, honestly. He was rather adorable. She always knew that something terrible happened to Kushina all those years ago, and she never came to revisit her. And not to mention, she saw the hesitation in his face when he said his name. I'm Mito Uzumaki. Uzumaki? Like me? Do you know my mommy and daddy? He asked. She had the same name as him. Maybe she would know who his parents were, and maybe she could help him. I am not entirely certain, but I can help you find out. Do you know what chakra is? Kadra? Said Naruto. He was very excited this Kadra thing could help him find his family. He would learn it in no time. I guess not, she chuckled a bit. And it's pronounced chakra. Everyone that is alive has it, even the plants and the trees. It allows us to do many wonderful things, like how those ninjas leap high and blow fire from their mouth, he said, mimicking the action. Correct, she said. Now listen carefully. You might already be familiar with what chakra feels like. When you enter here, you touch the door at the front, right? He nodded as she continued. So when you touch the door, you might have felt a tingling warm. When you open the lock, when you saw the writing, that is what chakra feels like. He tilted his head confused. But if I don't know what it is, how did I use it, he asked. You didn't? Did you feel it on your hand, she said. He nodded. I suspect your hand has a seal on it. And that seal must have drawn your chakra for you. Wow, he said. Wow indeed, how about we unlock your chakra so we can find out who your parents are? Naruto nodded happily, he was ready. Finally he would know. Good, now sit down on the ground. Cross your legs and close your eyes. Try not to move too much, and feel around above your stomach for that tingly warm. She instructed himself as she watched him, went down to the ground. She knew that it would take some time because children are usually antsy. More so, the Uzumaki ones. But the Uzumakis were always blessed with extreme amount of chakra. So, it shouldn't be that hard. And sure enough, after an hour of coaxing to stay still, he had succeeded, quicker than she expected. After that, they work on accessing his chakra so that he can pour it into objects and surfaces. Alright now, try and push your chakra in your hand when you felt that prick earlier. Just a small amount now, she said, as she didn't want him to overdo it and damage the seal. However, if the seal was made by Kushina, it should remain. After all, Kushina had a lot of chakra, and with that large amount she was able to create rather potent seals. Even if someone had corrosive chakra akin to a bijou, it would take a lot to break a Uzumaki seal. Naruto pushed his chakra into the seal. As it slowly glowed and started to appear, his eyes brightened as he looked up towards a nice lady, for her to tell him what to do next. She motioned for him to follow her as they made their way towards a side room. As they arrived at the box, it looked like it was unmoved in ages. There was a lot of dust over it. Put your hand on the lid and push your chakra as you did before. As Naruto crouched down before the box as he placed hand on top of it, the seal on his hand lit up, so did a seal on the box. A clicking sound could be heard as the box opened up. As Naruto peeped in, as he saw a photograph, he looked towards the woman. She smiled. That's Kushina Uzumaki, my great-grandniece. Your mother, Naruto-chan, she said. Time skip. Mito looked down sadly at the small child as he traced his mother on the photograph. Small tears falling from his eyes. She just wanted to kneel down and hug him, but it wasn't meant to be. It was even a miracle that she was witnessing this scene right here. After what felt like ages to him, Naruto glanced up towards the woman. There was many things he wanted to know. Where was she? This was his mother. He wanted to know more about her. Why did she leave meant so much more, but the one that was on his mind. Did she love me? Mito replied without a hint of hesitation. More than anything. As Naruto rubbed the tears away, the next question he was fearful to ask. Do you know where she is? He said. Now this was a tough question for Mito to answer. She was certain that Kushina was not alive anymore, because if she was, there was nothing in this world that would keep her away from her child, unless she was physically incapable of doing so. And there was only a handful of things that could keep her away, and still, she would not stop fighting. The Uzumakis were blessed with strong bodies from the Sage of Six Paths. That was what the legend said. Their clan members never became sick. If something did not kill them within an hour, be it an injury, blood loss, or even poison, they would recover from it. That was one of the main reasons why they were so behind in medical knowledge from most clans. They just didn't need medical knowledge. Beyond patching simple wounds or cauterizing simple limbs, there was another possibility of Kushina being captured. So this is why she was tripping in giving Naruto a straight answer. She had a decision to make, tell him that there was a chance of she being alive and give him false hope, or tell him that she was dying and giving him misinformation as well. Come by tomorrow, Naruto-chan. I will tell you tomorrow about it. It's getting rather late. I'm sure the people at home are waiting for you. Why can't you tell me now? Besides, there's no one at home waiting for me. Wait, what do you mean no one waiting for you? She said. He was too young to be looking after the house by himself. I live alone. No one cares about me. Please, tell me about my mom. Where is she? Said Naruto. You live alone? As she ignored his question for the moment. How long? How old are you, Naruto-chan? She said. This was a child living alone. Let alone he was bearing a clan name. He would be not safe from kidnapping attempts. Who was taking care of him, feeding him, make sure that he eats right, and make sure he doesn't hurt himself? She had always hated seeing kids being sent to battlefields in her time. And even then, Naruto still did not look like a trained ninja at all. I'm 5. I've been living alone for about a year now. As he held his hand up, showing his 5 fingers. And before that, she asks, I don't remember much, but there's this old lady that took care of me. She taught me how to make food and read and all that other stuff. Now, can you tell me now please, he said, as he was eager to know, and he was getting frustrated. As she saw the red flicker in his eyes dancing a bit. Her eyes widened at that. Lift up your shirt and start a channel. Chuck it through your body now, she said urgently. Now normally Naruto would not do so after repeatedly asking about his mother and being denied to tell about that, but she had this air of nobility around her. Like her whole demeanor demanded respect, so he lifted his shirt as he showed her, channeling chakra. He then noticed her eyes close, as she looked quite upset about something. However, he looked down as he saw there was a giant seal on his stomach. Another mystery seal on his body. He wondered if he had any more of those. He could see himself covering from squiggly lines from head to toe, and he would have laughed if the situation was not so serious. Okay, Naruto, I know you say that no one will be looking for you if you return late. I don't believe that is possible. People will start searching for you if you disappear for a long time. Trust me, go home, she said, and come back tomorrow, and I'll answer every question for you. He looked at her for a while as he did not say anything, until he finally spoke. Do you promise? I promise. But you have to promise me that you won't tell anyone about this place or about me, or they might stop you from coming here, and leave everything in the box here, where it will remain safe. Otherwise, people might take it away from you. I promise I won't tell anyone. As he placed everything back in the box and said his goodbye for now, as Mito started to piece everything together from his visit and from Kushina not coming back here. She was sensing a rather big plan in play regarding Naruto, and she did not like it one bit. This was her kin, and she would be damned if she lost another one. Only 2 people remain of her family now, Naruto and her granddaughter. She had to secure the legacy of their ancestors. As Naruto made his way back, there wasn't much place that would sell him food. However, there was one. As he made his way towards the ramen stand, the old man and his daughter were really kind people. As he entered the ramen shack and saw the girl, "Oh hey Ayam," he said, "1 miso ramen please." "Where's old man Tuki?" "He's in the back. There's closing time now, so there's not much to do." As she shares ramen for him, she placed it down in front of him. "How come you're here today?" she said. As Naruto only usually came twice a week, and never this late, she knew that he lived on a tight budget, and there wasn't much he could do. Sometime her father would coax him into taking a free bowl, but they had to make it seem like a small celebration or something of accomplishment for him. For a child this young, he had so much pride for not accepting things easily. "I got too caught up in wandering in the village, and I guess it got real late. Didn't feel like making something for myself today. You came just at the right time. I was cleaning my room and I found something." "Wait a bit," she said, as she made her way towards the back where their house was. As Naruto had stayed once or twice in their house recently when they had celebrated his 5th birthday, they had given him some clothes as present, as Naruto was truly grateful. "Here," Hayam said as she placed some stack of books in front of him. "These are some books when I went to the trade school. I don't need them anymore," she said, as Naruto looked at said books and saw some about basic language writing, trading, several other things like woodworking, gardening. As he thanked her happily for the books, as she simply pinched him on his cheek, as he paid and took them and left off. As Naruto made his way, he got home, he brushed his teeth, placed on the books, as he went to get some sleep. Naruto then paused, as he realized because of his excitement, he didn't even realize that he now had a grandmother, someone from his family. He wasn't as alone now as he was yesterday. Life was finally looking up. The next morning, Naruto got up as he went to the bathroom. After that, he made some rice. He cracked the egg over it and used some soy sauce as he mixed it together. Once he was done, he simply placed it in the sink. He would wash it when he get back, as he was too excited right now to wait. As Naruto made his way towards the small shack, arriving there, he stepped inside. However, he couldn't find his new grandmother. As he looked around, "Good morning, Ruta-chan." He spun around, and there she was behind him, just like yesterday. He briefly wondered where did she came from. However, he pushed that thought away as he greeted her back. "Good morning, Mito-bachan," he said. "Now, Naruto," she said, "I've decided to tell you everything about your mother, about me, and things about your clan, and about yourself as well that you might not even know. But before that, you have to tell me everything about yourself, so that I can make sure that everything is certain." As Naruto wondered if she would tell him why he was hated, so he told her everything about him living with some old lady for about 3 years. Then she disappeared after a couple of months. How the Hokage came to visit him once a month and give him money, and how the people treat him in the village, and he had no idea why they did that. As she asked him how he felt about that, after some coaxing on her part, he felt anger a lot, sadness as well, and hate. He tried not to show it mostly, but sometimes it was too much. "I'm sorry, Naruto," she said, "that you have to live like this." Her voice was filled with sadness. "Why are you apologizing? It's not your fault." "Maybe not directly," she said. "For you to understand why, I have to start from the beginning, to who I am and where I come from. I am Mito Uzumaki of the Uzumaki clan. I wedded into the Senju clan to Hoshirama Senju, the established the treaty between Uzu and the Senju on a wider scale between the new village rising known as Konoha and the small village known as Uzu that was located on the land of Whirlpool. The Uzumaki clans were distantly related to the Senju, and they already had a relationship with them. Uzu was situated within the islands of the land of water, and there was many clans around that era who we had problems with. The Yuki, Hoshiki, and the Hashiki before they established themselves as Kiri. And we were also defending ourselves from the barbarians of the Kaguya clan. We were famous for our longevity, our life force, long chakra reserves, weapon making, and Fuinjutsu, the art of making seals. Seeing Naruto paying close attention, she continued, happily reminiscing about their past. When Konoha was established, Land of Fire was in relative peace, with such strong clans coming together to form a village. It was only natural. The Senju, the Uchiha, the Hyuga, the Kurama, and all of them coming under one head. The head of the Uzumaki clan, my uncle, decided to put forward a formal treaty so that we can strengthen peace. By giving my hand in marriage, I was married to Hoshirama as a princess of the Uzumaki clan, and not as a proud kunoichi of Whirlpool I was. She paused for a while. She took a deep breath. As Naruto paused, as he could feel that this was a sensitive issue. However, he could tell. "You didn't want to get married," he said. "No, it wasn't that. I did come to love Hoshirama, and after a while I was happily married. It was my position within the village. I was raised to be a ninja within my clan, and I aspired to be something great. One of the strongest kunoichis and the greatest seal master to ever walk this land. But here I was now, as the wife of the first Hokage, and everyone seemed to forget that I was a fearsome kunoichi, who would battle against horde of Kaguya members and attack from the land of water, and could go toe-to-toe with the heads of these clans. I was the one who single-handedly designed the barrier that was to be put around this village, and to respond to outside threats." As Naruto frowned as he asked her, "You couldn't be a ninja anymore?" he asked. Sadly, no. Konoha was in relative peace, and the village had started to work with the daimyo in a greater capacity. But behind the peace, Madara was getting angrier with Konoha and his people. Why didn't he and Hoshirama Jiji make Konoha together? They didn't make Konoha, they founded it. It was Hoshirama's popularity that became the problem. When they had thought of leading the village, Hoshirama and Madara wanted to lead it together. However, the people thought that Hoshirama was more trustworthy, and thus they were willing to follow him more than Madara. After a while, it was chosen by all the clans to make Hoshirama the first Hokage. Even the Uchiha wanted Hoshirama as their leader, rather the head of their own clan. Hoshirama had objected to it at first, and was willing to give the seat over to Madara. However, they were not comfortable to let Madara lead them. They had come to enjoy the peace. After all, they have been through so much fights and war. Everyone felt that Madara would lead them into another war, because he had grown darker with the death of his brother, Aisuna. Madara saw this as the ultimate betrayal, so he left the village, and he swore that he would raze it to the ground. Konoha continued to prosper, and seeing this, other clans started to come together. and they started to make their own hidden villages. East of Uzu, Kir was formed, and of north of Uzu, Kumo was formed. West of Konoha, the sand and the hidden stone was created. Everyone became a bit agitated as new villages. They were worried about someone encroaching in their territories. About this time, Hoshirama received news of Madara and decided to bring him back to the village. We had a lot of discussions about it, and he argued that I was always biased against Madara in the past where the Uzumakis had helped the Senju against the Uchihas and lost a lot of man and woman against them. I argued that he was the one that was biased. Madara might have been a good friend to Hoshirama before, but he wasn't anymore. Hoshirama had new responsibilities to the village, to me, and the family that we were going to start in a few months. Family? Naruto questioned. As he did not understand, weren't they already a family? Mito smiled. She realized he wouldn't get it. I was gonna have a baby, she said. She didn't want to go into the mechanics of it. He was too young right now. So I placed a seal on him without him knowing. I used it to locate him and follow after him. I had decided to keep my distance and not interfere, because as powerful Madara was, Hoshirama Mokiton was on a completely different level. Mokiton? What's that? Mokiton was a bloodline ability, the first to be awakened by Hoshirama. It allowed him to control all plant life around the area. It is the strongest bloodline limit I've ever seen. The strongest? Said Naruto. I don't see how creating trees could be the strongest, as he did not understand how could trees stand up against a massive fireball, as she thought of a way to make him understand. Okay, you saw the forest around Konoha, correct? As Naruto nodded. Well, he created all of them in an instant using the ability. Naruto's eyes went wide. And you remember I told you that every living thing had chakra in them. And Mokiton create living trees. What do you think that mean? As she had did this with her children and Kushina as well. For them to think and learn for themselves. As she'd already decided that she would teach Naruto everything that she knew, so that he could live a comfortable life. As Naruto wondered about it. If he could make living trees, and trees could make chakra, then he could make his chakra quickly, he said. Good job, but there's more to it. You see, plants and trees don't have the same chakra that we do. They possess something called nature chakra. Something that if you're able to harness, give you far superior abilities. And these trees are a part of himself. He could draw nature energy out without the hassle. Nature chakra also had a tendency to overwhelm and suppress regular chakra. And since the wood is a part of him, he would use it to suppress other people's chakra. So the bloodline limit gave him the ability to strengthen himself and weaken other people. Do you now understand why I consider it to be this strong? Naruto nodded. It now sounds super strong to him. Madara, seeing that he was loose and he did something, he summoned the Kyuubi. And he used his eyes, the Sharingan, to control it. A bloodline of the Uchiha. Tell me, do you know about the other Bichu? She asked. This Naruto knew about. The 4th Hokage defeat the 90th Fox and sacrificed his life. I do. The 4th defeated the 90th Fox when the Kyuubi attacked the village. I read that it was huge. At least 10 times the size of the Hokage's tower. He did, huh? She highly doubt that this 4th defeated the Kyuubi by himself. Kushina had to be nearby for it to even appear. Do you know when that was, Naruto? She said. Yeah, October 10th. Same as my birthday. I see. Then you must realize how strong the Bichu is. If your 4th Hokage risked his life to stop it. And with that under control of Madara Uchiha, the power was quite devastating. But even with the Kyuubi, Madara still lost. He escaped in the end. But it posed new problems that Madara could summon the Kyuubi. And if Hoshirama was not there, he could use it against the village. So I made a decision, something to this day I did not know if it was correct or not. I used the Uzumaki sealing, the 8 tetragram seals, to seal the Kyuubi inside of me. You see, at that time, placing a Bichu inside of someone was rather rare. At that time, only the Shikaku, the Wind Spirit, had ever been successfully sealed. And frankly, it wasn't even known as a Bichu. It was thought to be the Desert Spirit. When Hoshirama came to know of this, he was worried. A single village holding something that powerful, the other villages would grow antsy and angry as well. So he decided to use his bloodline to capture all the other Bijus, so he could distribute it to the other nations, so they wouldn't be upset. Tobirama, Hoshirama's brother, was not convinced about this, but he relented later on. As time went on, the Kyuubi started to have effects on my mind. Sometimes I became rather aggressive. I was having nightmares and sometimes felt like I was losing my mind. But you were okay after, right? Said Naruto. I had to meditate and come to terms a lot of things about myself I disliked from before and never acknowledged. But the love of my family and Hoshirama helped me to go through it. Then Hoshirama died. Tobirama stepped up as next Hokage. He created a lot of facilities and infrastructures, the academy, the envoys, and several others, just to name a few. He was ambushed when he went to sign a treaty with Kumo, and he appointed one of his students, after sacrificing himself. A student, Hiruzen Sarutobi, the son of Sasuke Sarutobi, became the third Hokage. "That's Jiji," said Naruto. "He come to visit me sometimes, as he liked the old man Hokage." However, Mito was not fond of him at the moment, as he had made choices that, once she was done, Naruto would understand and probably see him in a different light as well. With the act of aggression of war started up once again. I was getting old and I knew that I would have to pass the Kyuubi on to someone else. My children did not inherit my great potency of chakra, so they could not keep the beast at bay. Hoshirama blood was just too strong, it suppressed all the Uzumaki traits inside of them. So your mother was sent from Ozu to be the new vessel of the Kyuubi, and to be trained to be a Kunoichi of Konoha. She paused, knowing that what she was going to say next was going to be the most important part for him to make peace with. When the Bijo is released from the host dies. So I helped Kushina come to the term of living, with the knowledge of holding back something so destructive. As Naruto tilted his head, Does that mean you're a ghost?" he asks. As he was afraid, but not truly terrified. "No," as Naruto breathed a sigh of relief. "But I'm not alive either. I'm a part of my chakra, tethered to this impure world, made possible by using seals. But don't worry, Naruto," she said. "I will never harm you." As he did not understand much, the only thing that he got was not ghosts, something chakra seals. But she was nice. Then you remember the second question. "So, my mom is not alive anymore." "I'm sorry, Naruto," she said. As Naruto walked towards a box, he pulled out the photo as he started to cry once again. Mito stood there. She would just let him mourn, as this was only the beginning. Time skip. Hiruzen Sarutobi felt weary. It has been 14 years since he had to retake the position as Hokage, since his successor passed. It has been as rocky as you remember it to be. Sure, there was less threats than before, however Konoha was weaker than ever before. Konoha always posted quality over quantity. While they didn't have the vast amount of numbers, they had the strength. However, only him and Jiraiya were posed as deterrent against anything big. Now he was past his prime. As for Jiraiya, while he was the strongest out of the Saiyans, the other two, one was one of the legendary medics, however, he sighed at that, and the other one was one of the dangerous criminals since Itachi Uchiha. How everything went terribly wrong. Currently, Konoha was filled with problems. The internal situation with Konoha was growing day by day. The Hyuga and the Uchiha incidents were terrible ones that took a great toll on the village. As the thing had went off without a hitch, a ninja from a different village coming in here, going unknown past the ninja protections and the Hyuga clan of all people, and not to mention being killed by Hayashi, and his brother had to take his place. This reeks of a setup. He believed that Danzo had a hand in this. As Hokage, there was things that he could not get involved with. Such were clan politics, as he had to take the blame for the incident, causing some of the Hyuga trust against him. Then there was the Uchiha incident. The trust against him was rather lowered at that, for one of his envoys to make such a horrible act. The people started questioning his judgment. At least this time he had nailed Danzo, but not publicly. He had used his position to strip him of roots, and also made him step down in the council position. But it was a situation he wasn't as like as a Hokage. Before Minato had stepped in, and after the incident, and the steps that he took against the mistreatment of Naruto, he was desperately trying to find a person to take over as Hokage, but no one seemed suitable enough. His students were too old, and even if they had set the position, they would not be in it for too long. Anyone younger than them was not even strong enough. Asuma was not strong enough. Guy did not command respect from those who did not know him. He had great hopes for Kakashi Hatake years ago, but that had been a disappointment. The Sharingan he received from his friend had crippled his potential. Before that, he was developing greatly like his sensei and father. Minato and Sakamoto were some of the greatest shinobis Konoha has ever produced. Both S-class shinobis, without a bloodline limit, possess everything required to be Hokage: power, leadership, charisma, and the will of fire. It didn't seem like Kakashi would be able to gain the strength needed to be a Kage level ninja. He was too dependent on his Sharingan, something that was not capable for his body. At first glance, it appeared that he was a perfect shinobi. However, Kakashi was rather sentimental, which wasn't really a bad thing, but in his guilt and sentiment, he focused trying to master his Sharingan. He had even stopped practicing Kinjutsu after the white light chakra saber passed down to him by his father broke. Sakamoto Hatake was strong not because of his saber, he was strong because he was a master swordsman. The blade only enhanced what he was known for. He was getting worried about the future of the village. That is why he had called him back. And here he was. "How's it been, Sensei?" said Jiraiya as he hopped on the window. "Welcome back, Jiraiya-kun. Things could be better." Hiruzen said as he puffed on his pipe. "Anything important?" he asked. "There's a mercenary group of ninjas that has been taking high-level missions lately, mainly from the Hidden Stone and smaller villages. The Sun has been struggling more than ever, it seems. Communication with Kiri has been cut off still, and the Hidden Rain has still closed down their borders. There's a new hidden village propped up in the sound. They might be encroaching on our land. More missing reports have started to come up near our borders. Everything else is the same, with some minor details here and there. I'll inform you if there are any major changes," Jiraiya said, as he summed up the information to Hiruzen. "Do you have any news on Tsunade? Last I heard of her from my informant, she was seen in Iron Country. Only the two of you are suitable for the Hokage position. We have to start thinking about calling her back unless you want to make things easier for me and take the position now," he asked, chuckling slightly. "Not happening, old man," as Jiraiya came in and sat down. "Can't find anyone amongst the active Jonins. No one strong or notorious enough. If there are no breakthroughs in their strength, I believe that we will have to bank on the younger generation." Jiraiya thought about it. Calling Tsunade back without taking harsh measures would be difficult, he said. "If the circumstances were not so dire, I wouldn't want her to get back here either. She deserved to be happy even if wandering around the elemental nation." Hiruzen was thoughtful about that. The life of a medical ninja is tough. They saw the most death, and the way that she loses her loved ones was hard on her. "Naruto has been asking about her," Hiruzen said. "He asked you?" Jiraiya said, surprised. As far as he knew, Naruto was not that familiar with the Hokage anymore, and tended to avoid anything personal with the man. And that was rather surprising, seeing that they were close when Naruto was still a child. "No, and nothing specific as well," Hiruzen said, in a sad mood. "Just general information about a legendary ninja." "So, what does that have to do with Tsunade? I mean, many people idolize her." "Do you know how Naruto became a Chunin?" Hiruzen asked, as he remembered the meeting like it was yesterday. Flashback. Hiruzen was deep in a discussion with his advisors, Kohara and Homura, the Konoha Council, the subject about Naruto being promoted to Chunin. He shows enough skill in ninjutsu and taijutsu, adequate skills in detecting genjutsu, some proficiency in water manipulation, but the most impressive is near mastery in kenjutsu and funjutsu. He also showed good leadership and tactical thinking on the missions that we sent him on for evaluation. He said, looking through the mission reports of the officers that Naruto went on missions with, indeed, he's strong enough to be a Chunin. Maybe a bit too strong, Homura said, as Hiruzen could clearly hear the accusation in his voice. Yes, Naruto was strong, however, the thing was, he was already being considered for a promotion 8 months out of the academy at the age of 11 years old. He was soon 12 years old. There were some prodigies before him though. Some like Kakashi and Itachi who made Chunin at 6 and 10. There was no requirement for students to attend the 4 years of the academy. Only under special cases were they allowed to enter early. Naruto graduated as the Rookie of the Year in his time. But when you compare to someone like Neji, if you look towards both of their scores, if Neji and Naruto had attended the academy at the same time, Neji would have beat him out for Rookie of the Year. However, Naruto entered the academy 1 year early before Neji. But the things that surprised them though was the skills that he developed after 8 months of graduating. Skills that his Jonin sensei was not proficient in. Skills that the Uzumakis were known for. Absurd manipulation in water, Kinjutsu and sealing. He believed that Naruto learned these skills in the Uzumaki shrine behind the Senju compound, but they could never know for sure, unless Naruto came forward to tell them about it. Clan secrets were something that not even him as Hokage was privy of. There is no such thing as too strong, Homura. The boy is strong and loyal, and has quite close connection to two families living with Konoha, a civilian and a shinobi one of which who is a clan head, who is an expert in information gathering and psychology. In a way she ensured us that he's stable, a bit bitter maybe, but nothing too serious that may call in question his loyalty. What's his sensei's opinion of him? Koharu looked through the report. Shikaku say that he's a very competent shinobi, but believe that his growth is not something recent, could be something that he had even in the academy. Makes sense. They would not evaluate those things in the academy. He pulsed his chakra in small bursts. As Yonvu entered, let alone him in to see what he has to say for himself. As Yonvu made his way off, Shikaku also stated in his report that the boy should be promoted to take high-level missions, or more specialized ones. He also stated that the Genin team would not survive any promotion. They work well enough, but there would not be any real need to keep them together. It would only be detrimental to their team's success when they go on tougher missions. The other two members are not that combat ready. They will be more better for guard duties or patrol, and they should be reassigned. Koharu said, continue reading through the report. It will be a good idea to promote him now, rather than wait for the Chunin exams to come back around. We simply cannot send an Uzumaki to any enemy territory, not even considering the fact that the other nations might suspect his status as a Jinchuriki. Hiruzen was under no false hope that the other nations did not know about Naruto being a Jinchuriki. After all, there was a security leak after his birth. Do you believe that he knows about the Kyuubi? From what I understand, you have not told him about it, Homura said. There was no need to. It wouldn't have done him any good, Hiruzen said firmly. He could have been trained to harness the power, Koharu said. He needs to be kept in control, Homura said. Both him and Koharu had always advocated letting Danzo train the boy. The only thing keeping the Kyuubi in check is a Jinchuriki willpower, and to not let it loose he will need sound judgments and connection to the village. I don't want Naruto becoming someone who wouldn't consider the consequences of using Kyuubi's power because Danzo doesn't understand what is good for the village in the long run. He has already weakened the village by getting a series of Kunoichi's and Shinobi's massacre because he jumped the gun, and we're short in manpower, something that will take us decades to recover from. If we could ever recover it at all because of their small-mindedness, Hiruzen said. Even though old, you could see the man's power as his simple words, backed up by his killer intent. We had no choice, the coup was going to break out, and innocent lives would have been lost. Homura said, however, he was sweating as Hiruzen's gaze turned towards him. Innocent's life were lost, Hiruzen said. The civilians who had no idea of the coup, and the children that weren't even aware of the conflict. For a man who always believed in brainwashing children, he quickly reached the assumption that the children were going to rebel when they grew up. Hiruzen was fed up with these people and their support of his old friend. But you must still consider that Jinchuriki is a great firepower and a deterrent against any external threat, said Koharu. Konoha may not require shinobi before to fight for us, but you are getting old. And besides Jiraiya, we don't have someone that can fend off the likes of Killer Bee. Someone that can tap into his power as a perfect Jinchuriki, who will give us tremendous trouble. And how do you propose that? We teach Naruto how to control the Kyuubi. Before Killer Bee and Yagra, we didn't even know that was possible. And we don't even know how they achieved it. If something go wrong, we might lose Naruto, and not find anyone strong enough to be the Kyuubi's vessel. Even if we do find a reasonable candidate, there is no one other than me or Jiraiya that can seal a Kyuubi. And even then, we might not have a strong enough seal, like the one Minato used. He should at least be aware of it if you're thinking about promoting him, Homura said. A knock was heard. Enter. As the door opened up as Naruto stepped in, he stepped right to the center of the room. We were reviewing your application to be promoted to Chunin from Genin, and we want to hear why you think that you deserve a field promotion, Hiruzen said to the child, giving him a chance to express what he had to say. I believe I'm strong enough to become a Chunin, and I have achieved substantial skills in the techniques of my clan. I prefer Kinjutsu, sealing, and ninjutsu, and I would like to specify in these fields. And I believe if I get more experiences at shonen, I will be able to specialize in a branch in Konoha Task Force for the future serve in the village more effectively. His words told them that he at least put in some thought about this. Which branch are you considering that you might want to work towards? Koharu asks, something in target capturing or barrier squads. My strength lie in offensive and sealing techniques. Harrison could tell that the boy was trying to be as formal as he could. End of flashback. Harrison looked toward Jiraiya. We promoted him, and given his new clearance and skill level, I thought that he would be something that he should know about. I already expected that he knew about this given his knowledge of sealing. And when he was told he accepted this information, he didn't ask why or anything else. 3 days later, every ninja capable of basic chakra sensing felt a malicious chakra spike for a brief moment. We had asked him about it immediately, and we were given a basic information that he had access to Kyuubi's chakra, and he was developing a way to use it more efficiently. I believe that he was waiting for us to tell him about it so he could start training in that area. Wait, he could access the Kyuubi chakra already? On his own, said Jiraiya. He can. I had to assure some people at the seal, like any other Jinchuriki, would allow him to access some of the Kyuubi's chakra, and the beast was not breaking out. Jiraiya scoffed. These people don't give Minato enough credit. Still, you told me that the seal was different from Kushina's, that it would weaken over time. I don't know why Minato designed the seal that way. My best guess is he wanted Naruto to use the Kyuubi's chakra. Then do you believe the seal is weakened enough to be noticeable? I don't think so. To weaken it that much, that would require Naruto calling upon almost all of the beast's chakra, about 7 tael worth or more. So I believe it should still be fine, said Jiraiya. I could check it if you want. I would be careful if I were you. If Naruto knows about your relationship with him, he would not associate with you on his own free will. Do you think he already knows, Jiraiya asks? I'm not sure. You know how I used to be close to him when he was little. It started small at first, and after some time he closed himself off to me completely. At first I thought it was because he blamed me for his childhood. While regrettable, it will be understandable. But, according to Kakashi, Naruto avoided him as well, but he doesn't have a problem with Guy or Asuma. It could be a coincidence, but Kakashi was Minato's student after all. Wait, so you're saying that he might know about his parents? His behavior would make a lot more sense if he knew. A security leak? Or do you believe that he was told by someone? Not many know about it. Danzo could use this to try and gain his trust. So you're telling me that our Jinchuriki could be loyal to someone else, other than the Hokage? He already is not loyal to me, other than the bare minimum, and apart from the few connections, he's not really connected to the village at all. That is why I believe that it's necessary to bring Snazzy back to the village. I still don't understand. What does he have to do with Snazzy? Lady Mito was Snazzy's grandmother, and she was Kushina grand aunt. She was Kushina's only family within the village. They were very close, Snazzy and Naruto, even though distant. They are related. Naruto might know about this. That must be the reason why he's asking about her, the only member of his family that is still alive. If he knew that much, that means he probably know about me as well, said Jiraiya. If he did, well, this was bad. But guys, it'll be subscribe right here. If you want to see this person do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification as they posted. Remember, share to all of your friends in your social media platform. But I'm out for now. See you guys soon. Peace.